I have some comments on this item. The issue before the commission today is whether or not to execute a warranty deed, granting to the health department ownership of the Platte City office building that they've been using since 1960. The health department is in contract to sell the building, but it turns out that the building is actually owned by the county. The health department is an important member of the community, so normally I wouldn't have an issue with this. But here's the problem. In mid-April 2020, during the height of a global pandemic, the health department started speculating on commercial real estate. Despite already owning 2 buildings, they decided to purchase a 3rd building. According to the Platte County Landmark, the purchase price was $1.9 million, and they used existing reserve funds for that purchase. What's worse, they did this before selling or even having contracts on their other 2 buildings. And now, nearly 3 years after purchasing that 3rd property, as they prepare to close on the sale of the Platte City property, proceeds of which I'm sure are required to finance the new property, they discover that the county owns that building. What if it was owned by a private party, not willing to deed it back to the health department? Without that deed, this speculative real estate deal is in deep trouble. Complex commercial real estate deals like this are risky. I know, that's what I do for a living. Many things could and still might go wrong. Because after this one is sold, there's still another building to sell. Think about it. This is the taxpayer-funded county health department in the middle of a devastating global pandemic. And yet here they are making real estate deals they don't have to make. They purchased an office property at the height of a very hot real estate market. Some would say a potential bubble. And just assumed that they could sell their other 2 properties whenever they wanted. As we now know, the office market tanked, of course, and the health department is now forced to sell 2 properties in a far worse real estate market than when they started this deal in 2020. Classic buy high, sell low. Not a good strategy. After the health department purchased their new property, at least partially with cash reserves that would be needed to serve the public during this pandemic, they compounded their mistakes by spending tens of thousands of dollars or more on improvements, all for a space they still don't occupy 3 years later. So what did they do to help offset this self-inflicted cash crunch? They lobbied for and received from the county commission CARES Act funds that could have instead gone to small business owners who were devastated by the restrictions placed on them, ironically, by the health department. Despite my concerns, I initially had decided to support this. But I cannot in good conscience agree to give that property to the health department without first getting some answers. I want the health department to open their books and their meeting minutes and show us how and why this deal was put together from the very start. I'd like to know who advised them and who made the decisions. And how do the current numbers compare up to the original projections? I hope I'm wrong about all this. I do. And I will gladly admit it and apologize if I am. But in the meantime, and until I get some answers, I'll be voting no on this issue.